Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, I'll be talking to singer-songwriter, rapper, director, Australian-born Korean artist, DPR IAN. Let's go.
Smoking on pivot, that's my kind. I don't want no bad times. I don't want to have bad.
Oh man,
DPR IAN, yeah.
That feels
I was
weird,
like, let's have him on. If he'll do it, and then I'm glad it worked out.
100%. Thanks for having me, man. It's like I said, it's quite crazy.
That's sick.
Seeing this, wow.
Well, you're from Sydney.
From Sydney,
which is
Australia.
like for 20 some years has always been like a home away from home for me.
Oh, really?
I spent a lot of time in Australia, so I have like a good relationship with Australia.
Oh wow! You just go to Sydney, or is that?
I mean, I've been all over because Good Charlotte, we used to tour quite big there, and I think we're gonna go back like next year or something and do some kind of like like return.
Oh, for real?
It's been so long.
Just can you tell me the dates, fella?
I will.
That'll be so cool.
Yeah, they'll be good.
Amazing.
So I have a real like soft spot for Aussies.
Sick. Oh, I love
it. It's such a good culture to me.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that you say that, man. Because I haven't been back in Australia for a while. I think the last time I went was about 2 years ago, but was just for tour and stuff. But yeah, it's there's no place other like Australia, So
yeah, there's no place like it.
Yeah.
It's a funny place. It's got its personality, but I have a real soft spot for Australia, and it's a place that I'll always feel like connected to. What
do you like about it? Can I mind me asking? Is it just because I know the weather out here is kind of quite similar to Australia, isn't it?
The weather in LA is similar.
Yeah.
I'm from a small town.
Okay.
And I feel like it was the first big international place I'd ever been to. In 2000 I went, and it was my first trip abroad.
Oh wow.
And it was for music.
Yeah.
So on one hand, our band, it was the first place we were ever like big.
Oh yes.
And so on our first record, it popped off in Australia first.
Right.
And so there's like something about that I think meant something to me.
Yeah.
So it was the first place I had initiated or experienced success in my mind,
Oh yeah.
Like the radio was playing our song.
Oh yeah. No, I remember.
And then everyone was really like
the energy,
welcoming.
Oh yes.
They celebrated it.
Oh yeah, 100%, man.
In America, our first experience was good, but it was a lot tougher. It was a time in music where everything was genrefied.
I see.
And so you were here and you were put in this box, and everyone's arguing if you're this or you're that.
Oh yeah. I could. Oh yeah. Right. I completely understand where you're coming from, actually. Because I remember, because I was definitely one of them, listening to you guys out there. So
that's cool.
I still remember you guys were everywhere, and I was like, I was still in school, and honestly, where I come from a place called Wollongong.
Yeah, Wollongong. Yeah, I know Wollongong.
Yeah, no, I'm sure you do. And the scene was huge there. The scene of rock and everything was quite big. So I was always a fan of rock, and I was all into all types of stuff because I went to a performing arts school, So
that's cool.
I started off with a little local band myself,
Yeah, you were in like a metal band.
Yeah, or like a full metalcore band,
Sick.
Yeah, we went to hardcore metal and stuff like that.
What was your favorite metal coming up or even now?
So it was definitely hardcore. Like it went from punk to hardcore metal, and like I love that whole screamer shit, but
just heavy shit.
Just mad heavy shit.
Yeah, the heavier breakdowns the better.
Yeah, for some reason it progresses more heavily, right? Like once you start getting into, because in the beginning I loved alternative, and then it started progressively getting heavier and heavier, and then it went to like grind metal for 1 second. I just like had to step back a bit because everyone was just pig squealing, and that was about it. But no, it was a good time. It was a good fun time. Love supporting our local artists, and I kind of do miss those times a lot,
But it's interesting because something about your music now, it feels like the early love of like heavy, dark music, informed something about your art.
Oh wow,
Now, like the imagery, the feeling, it's quite like cinematic.
Oh yes,
There's a deep, dark, heavy
essence
core to it.
Yeah.
That you kind of like, which I actually think, and the way you really present things, even just like down to whether it's how you're dressed or what you have on stage or like, there's something that feels like heavy.
Yes. Okay.
And I wonder if the early love of like heavy music, because heavy music does like touch us. It's like something inside of us, that heavy music.
It doesn't leave you.
My favorite bands, Architects.
Oh, the Architects. Oh, yes.
Bad Omens.
Oh.
Bring Me. You know, there's a bunch of bands that I love that when I listen, it really like comforts this like deep.
Right. It satisfies something.
It's like this deep pain or something that there's something from that early formation of your like interest in music.
Yes.
And the journey you go on as an artist.
Yeah.
You should like lots of different things.
Oh, yes.
You have to go on that.
Yeah.
But I feel it in your music now. I feel there is like a heaviness to it.
Interesting.
And it makes its way out in different ways, whether it's imagery or like the structure of something or the sounds you use. I think there's like something super metal about you.
Wow. Well, you're the first person to say that to me, and you're spot on, man. You're spot on. That's crazy. I love how that you picked that out. You're absolutely right. I've had a dying passion and love for just heavy music, you know, because like you said, there's something about it that really satisfies something inside of you. Especially, I think, you know, going to my earlier teen years. You know, I was the only Asian in growing up, you know. So for me, it was really wanting to belong, but you know, I was just plopped into the scene, to the music scene, and the only way I could ever really kind of find some type of relevance or relation to anyone was through music. And you know, at that time, it was just peak, like just metalcore music, and it was just going off, and you know, so I was just kind of. I mean, fortunately enough, I was just plopped into the scene, but it felt different, especially going to my first show, just watching because we had a youth center that played local bands every like Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, DIY shows.
Yeah, man. And the stuff that they come up with, oh my God. I remember just going in, just immediately the air's just freaking thick and it's just, you know, sweaty and smelly because they had a pit and, you know, it was just, but I still remember feeling the energy from that and I've just never wanted to stop going back, you know, because it was something that I was like, wow, I felt feel relieving. That. Yeah.
I can feel that in your music now.
That's so interesting. And
isn't it funny?
Yeah, that is crazy that you point that out, man. It's insane.
I wonder what part being different from everyone else.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. However that's perceived in like, you know, if you're the only Asian kid, right? If that's the point of difference in that situation. But we are all different from each other.
Yeah.
When our difference is pointed out, right? When we're in a group of people and we're completely different from them,
right.
Maybe it's culturally.
Yeah.
Because I really believe that great artists and people that are successful at making art and putting it in the world and becoming these characters that lived only in our thoughts.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You know, we look at our heroes, whatever they are. Maybe they're actually comic book heroes. Maybe they're rock stars. Maybe they're sports stars. As kids, we're kind of taught to get in line.
Yeah, that's right.
And stay in the group and don't disrupt the group.
Yeah, don't rebel.
And we look at our heroes and we start to imagine like, what would I be?
Yeah.
What would my superpower be? What would my music sound like?
You're right.
And when we're allowed to do that, and we try, that's how we make it.
That's exactly
try again.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's supportive parents, or sometimes it's that we're alone.
Yeah, that's a good point you make. I think it's quite interesting that you say it's if now, you know, it's also maybe that we're alone. I think for one, I definitely had supportive parents. Very fortunate enough for that.
That's great.
And like you said, I think it does come from core imagination because in the beginning, for me, it was just really about how do I fit in? And then it progressively went to where do I see myself in this scene? Because I don't, at that time, especially, I don't see any representative that kind of looks like me that's doing this, you know, not to my knowledge anyway. So I just kind of never really saw that side of like someone to idolize and, you know, so everyone that I idolized were like people that were just already huge and, you know, from the States, from Western cultures. And I loved that. And it was such a interesting moment for me because I never really second guessed it or thought of it in a way where my ethnicity was something that was going to be something that might downplay a certain, you know, part in doing this music scene, just because I've never seen that before, you know. But I think as my imagination grew, it kind of grew into excitement. And in the beginning, it's hard telling your Asian mom, like, oh, you know, I want to do like screamo,
or any mom, to be honest.
Anything, you know. I still remember I was playing like some heavy stuff for my mom in the beginning. She's like, so what the heck is this? You know? I mean, granted, but you know, it was a good moment when she finally understood and she wanted to support me, you know, just doing whatever I wanted to do. So I think that is kind of what led me to, I think, further grow out my imagination of like wanting to do something. I don't even know if it was related to music at the time, honestly, because it was just something that I needed to express. Like I needed to just get out there.
It's a calling.
Yeah, a calling. Yeah, you know, it just felt right. You know, everything aligns, and you know, it just feels like you just have to. Your gut feeling tells you to go here, and it just felt so weird. But at that time, you don't really think of it. Like you're just really in the moment.
Well, yeah, and especially at that age, everything else is telling you no.
Exactly.
So to follow a calling and a feeling at an age when everything else in life is telling you, do this, go to school, go to college, this is what success looks like, to break out of
the system.
It's...
Yeah, man. Yeah. And you guys were all about that too, eh? So I was like, that's why I really loved it, you know? I love the messages that especially rock kind of portrays. You know, granted, I feel like punk was definitely something that kind of was like rebellious against order and all that, you know. But I think that's why I had a certain love for heavy and hardcore music, because it kind of went against the society, against the norms, and you know the stuff they talk about as well. It's really it gets political at one point, but
sometimes
it gets like that. But I kind of see it. I kind of understand why, because it's the system that they want to rebel against, and they want to be independent, have a free mind, free thinking. So I think that's why it kind of related so much to the core to a lot of high school kids, especially in Australia, because you know Australia is very open, very like free-minded. People are so nice, you know. People are so nice and kind that it's very just it's a very supportive community, you know.
On one hand.
And
then there's another side to every coin, right?
Of course there is.
And there's old systems, old ideas, old ways.
Oh boy.
And those two things clash. I actually like that about Australia is that there is a clash.
Yeah.
There's going to always be a new way and a new idea. And people trying to reach for new. And there's going to be old. And that's it's a story as old as time.
Right.
Those in power who have been in power a long time. Those new ideas and thinkers. It's not bad for society, but it can cause... Well, it's a lot to talk about.
Yes,
so people are always arguing about the issues. But that's why artists make art.
Yeah, that's correct. I think something that I read somewhere, something that somebody said was like, artists are meant to defy reality.
Yeah.
You know? So that's what they're here for. And I get it, because it's like you're manifesting your own reality to the world and how you see it, because you see it differently. And because everyone sees it so differently, I think that's what makes it unique. It's just how much are you willing to not apologize for it, you know? And I think that's what was really, I guess I succumbed to that type of character, which it was like, as you mentioned, it was the idea of bringing characters to life. And I think that's where I really got a lot of inspiration, because it's like, you can be anything in this world and still be you, but you know, at the same time, it could hit a different market, it could hit a different crowd, and honestly, it does shed a lot of your experiences through that ideation of the character, and that's what I think I really loved about forming this type of, I guess, character into this music, into my artistry. You know, especially because when I went to Korea, that was a bit of a different story.
Yeah, what was that like?
My God.
Because was it your first time ever going?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, it was just a sudden decision I decided to make, just because I'm Korean and I just didn't know anything about my culture. And, You know, because I was brought up in a full like Western community, and I didn't know anything about my culture. So after uni, I was like, you know what, I want to pack my bags and go to Korea. My mom gave me like a 3 months period. I was like, you just got coming back, I'm gonna whoop your ass. I'm like, okay. So I was like, all right. So
it was another calling.
It's another calling. Exactly. That's crazy that you say that. It felt like that for me, you know.